다디 나와라. 상황을 챙기 될 정도 이벌 시초도 가들. 이번 것도
니버레.
니버치라. 다단다 유니에 봉알에 지라. 다 유니에라디가라 유니발라디 다스지 유니발라디 치마이다. 먼저지 차당 몽송 제세 유들 유니발라디 치나오는 지라 유 야가도 두는 다 같이 시주는 기라. 우리 디 기인데 셔셔는 dim 차당 몽송 제용세기 유들 내가 저 유니바 가지는 게 발라나 딜을 때네 내가 저 지기 디바만 보지 싸워인자 근데 차당 몽송이 제세기 유들 아니 유니에스네 근데 들어 다디 정말 도셔가
제.
근데 년기 쇼는데 차치다 요라 먼저 당연한 저 로디 컨디저라 저나라 수수기 니 가보니 저보통 수수 파마 대주선은 안 줘야 되는데 차라 배니 당하다 니 파이 니 파마 니 빙자라네 들어가 저 강이 중원에 저마토와 와 미신 바질라 강이도 중원에 저 대시 야미도 다 진짜데 되셔요 그도 미신 바이나 강이 주나 강이 뭐 집어라 수수기 파마 빙자 강이나 강이 집어래야 이내한테 가지고 수수기 집 파마 빙자로 지 나와서 정원에서 거기서 로페 저마토로 제지다 미신 바질라 가서 대시 맞아야 되지 근데 차이가 있잖아. 저 치다를 요래도 큐데 안되는 구조제들만 하시기 간족이 수수기 니니들 차야 돼. 대 마시래서. 다 드이쇼라 간족이 수수 마가사게 드줄라 아니 시랑 메타라 와. 수수를 지금 카테자니도 수수 마가사게 미디 아니 시랑디 멜 페샤니 메디 바우나 차고 인가 차오죠라. 지금 바로는 가사가라 캄발라 소바 카레네 찍도에게 되게 누버요. 대나시 간족이 시랑도 제소나 라지기 시당도 제는 아니 미상말로 공부를 투바자 직 잠만디고 상마 시당이 치고라 아 미세 차주 간데 주네 시당이 치고면서 시대 민자지가 내가 지금 말아 제가 시당도 뺑인가 저래서라 근데 이 아니 시당에서 유다 도차이에서 유제 안 되는지 아메다 바스다 란토로 랑월디 찍게 수족이 출랑고야다 파 돌고야 라 수빵 수두고야다 파 빵고야 되나고 랑토로 제베 남들 제베에서 티무 단다디 가서 디 가링에 온데 오는 거 티무 왕기 머리베 왕기라 되네 술내고야 가링이 바 파도고야 하카라 이 하마보니 제바 먼저 지금 잡아지로도 되게라 디 가르라는 티무 왕기 티무 머리베 왕기 먼저 세부 차도 말을네 내고야 가르 도고야 가르 빵고야 가르 세부 지차도 말아 근데 인자 근데 왜 티무도 가르나 나고 민바 나고도 라 제가 단다 가서는 대차 시랑 티무순도 걸 시기도 무슨문이라 어디순들이스라 맨나 젠스 든주 삼아 가르라나 윙에 봉와 근데 왜 아니 차담 무슨도 다 윙에 봐 차고라 근데 윙에 봉와디 아니 제세 상주 선반 남치기 냠네 레스라
Now we've completed the first stanza or the first practice of the Bodhisattva in the previous line that we discussed, and now in the number 2, the second practice of the great Bodhisattvas. And if you read the first line, it reads, the practice of all the Bodhisattva is to leave behind one's homeland. And in the Tibetan, in the original Tibetan, it doesn't really say one's own homeland, but it says like a place with defect, or like a bad place in a rough translation. But we should not take these English translation, one's own homeland, or the original Tibet at its like literal meaning. There is a meaning, there's a reason why we call this like a bad place or one's own homeland, because these places, not taken in the literal sense of the word places, but let's just understand it as objects. Now these objects of our desire, these objects of aversion, these objects of like ignorance, these three, like these objects, we need to do away with. We need to abandon it. We need to get as far away as we can from these objects of desire, attachment, desire or attachment, and object of ignorance, object of aversion or anger or hatred. Now in the second line, now again it reads, where our attachment to family and friends overwhelms us like a torrent. Now in the second line we discuss about the object of desire, and if we think about it objectively, if like let's take the example, like there are two people who are suffering through the same misery, but one is like our own family member, like someone close to us, and then the other, we do not really know them. But if we objectively think about it, they go through the same thing. They have the same reactions, like they have the same reactions to the suffering, and they have the same desire to be free from the same suffering. But then, like due to our attachment, due to the negative affliction of attachment, somehow the way we deal with these two are different, wherein like we feel very concerned. We have this extra sense of care and concern for our immediate like family members or near ones, and wherein when the other person who is objectively going through the same thing, we do not really have a sense of care or concern for them. We are obviously more concerned about our near ones. So this is why the first line it says like we should do away with one's own homeland, or we should do away with bad places. So the family and friends, this attachment to family and friends, we need to do away with this. And the end of the line, it says, overwhelms us like a torrent. Now, in the Tibetan, it doesn't really translate to a torrent, but in the Tibetan, it says chutar yo. Now, chu is water, and yo is the motion of a disturbed water. Like it just keeps. It's not a clear, it's not a calm like water body. It's like moving. So with this like motion, attachment, the object of our attachment and our like actual attachment to family and friends are likened to this like disturbed water.
Can you repeat it in Tibetan, please?
Chu tar yo.
What?
Chu.
Chu?
Water. Tar like. Yo means like disturbed.
Yo?
Yo.
Chu? Yo?
Chiyo.
Yo lanada dido. Like a moving, not still. Not a still, but moving. Moving water body.
Chu? Yo?
Chu tar yo.
Tar yo.
Da yo?
Tar like. Yo like move.
Yo lana jipu madingi.
Jumadi guju.
Not sedentary, but like moving in constant motion. Yeah, Pegishingi is it. Do you know Tibetan?
I'm trying to learn.
Okay. This jaya bezunchigi is malas. Okay. And then like the third, it talks about the second like negative affliction, which is aversion, or anger or hatred. Like the Tibetan word is shedang, and then it has the meaning. It takes on like the meaning of these three words: aversion, hatred, and anger. So like the third line, while our aversion towards enemies rages inside us like a blazing fire. Now like the object of our hatred, the object of our anger is enemies, or like someone we don't like, or someone we have have animosity with. So this like object of anger, hatred, and aversion, this enemy and the emotion of hatred, anger is likened to a blazing fire. Now, if you think about the nature, the example of a blazing fire, this has a blazing fire has the quality of like burning you and like destroying, this quality of destruction. So this object of this affliction of aversion, or disturbing emotion of aversion or hatred or anger, is likened to a blazing fire and its like potential to destroy. And this is the second line. So we said like now leave behind one's own homeland, or leave behind bad places. The first place or like objects of affliction that we need to leave behind is this concept of friends and families, near ones and close ones. We need to do away with that. And then the second is like looking at someone as an enemy, because this clouds our judgment, and this has the quality to destroy. This has the quality of destruction. And now the last line, delusion. And delusion's darkness obscures what must be adopted and abandoned. Now, in our Dharma, in the sense of the practice of the Buddha Dharma, the way we practice is to adopt all the good qualities and to do away or abandon all the bad or negative like afflictions. This is the method. Now, when we are covered by ignorance or by delusion, then we are not able to see things as they are. We always jump on like on the first impression that we have of things, or we just like we form our conceptions based on appearances. So, as objects of illusion, of objects of delusion, as objects of what do you call ignorance, they as objects of delusion, ignorance, or illusion, they obscure or they stop you from like your judgment of what is good or what is bad. You do not realize what is good for you and what is bad for you because of ignorance. So this is likened, the ignorance, the emotion, the affliction of ignorance is likened to darkness. Because in darkness, you're not able to see anything. So likewise, like you're not able to judge, you're not able to see things as they are due to ignorance or delusion.
If you understand, beyond the delusion, how to keep one's own path if you know with this you're going to hurt others?
Can you repeat it, the question?
Yeah, if you know that if you are understanding some whatever, you understand something, you can look beyond, okay? And you choose, you do for the benefit of yourself and for others, and you know that it's right and good, and you're going to, in the same way, hurt others, or let's say even also family members.
So
like you need to be connected.
You mean like doing it knowingly?
And you're going to disconnect with some. You know what I mean?
Do you mean like knowingly doing something bad, or?
Yes, not knowingly doing something bad. You know that it's not bad, but it's considered maybe for others. It's like if you talk about the benefit of others, what we do, we should do for the benefit of others. And it's impossible because the needs of people are different, expectations are different, so you're definitely going to offend somebody with what you do. So how to choose your own path without hurting, is that even possible?
Moi lana era thananganzu timudo da digol gi shedera sikang thamadi and di moi lana ani kisi da susugi mishinda pensim yuena yesra mishinda robot ochego samna yora timugi gyugen la tene mi ganga ila da kola dichego pil dichego dinde 상말라 캬바직 용음하라
내가 정말 로봇 제통말아
말이 미 상막이다 되바도 올라가요 상말라 직 제도이 말아 또 콜라 디고도는 티무기 겐기 콜라 디고리 몰라 디고리는 갑두지다 하고 이 말아 된제이나 아니다 가래 간데스 탑시여레스 밀로 펜바 펜심 장아야 치도
밀레 펜스 장아야 치도 가르치고 올라그래
노또 상말라 직바치예요 말아 콜라 딘데지 고르는 안주도 티무기 겐기 코거지 Your question is that, like, due to ignorance, due to delusion, you are not able to discern like the needs of everybody. Like, this is your question?
No.
Then you said like due to even with the intention of helping everyone,
yes.
You try to do something for others.
Yes.
But like since everybody has like different needs, yeah. And due to ignorance, you're not able to discern like what each person needs. So like how to approach this dilemma. This is your question?
First of all, but second of all, also how to keep one's own path of peace, of inner peace of mind in this way. Because in the one way, you need to connect, to be capable to share and to have this society and the beneficial and all this. Yeah, right? It's not for own sake what we, the alignment is not for own sake, it's then for sharing it, right? So for this you need to be able and capable to understand and to connect. In the same way, when you're connected, it's going to be like a boomerang. Whatever is going to come from outside, it's going to affect you.
Okay.
So maybe one example of this can be that, I don't know, like you find a path that can benefit the society, and if you choose to do that, then you might have to leave your family behind, or you might have to, right? Like you might have to harm your family. So how do you choose?
So Payupong Relajura, the Payupong is Nang Midan, the Susama, the Chizola Pemba Chamna, and Nangmi the Zuyudulana, Kenza Roma. Now I get to the core of your question. Thank you.
Chidan dilla or tada I Payupang la di Pama the Pinga Samayu and the Geshipu Mareva. Dia Ta and Nichibuche and the color Conduta Maja Chimichimi Barre the Chimula, you sat and Zora. So Nami the Cates, the Gompa de Chinuka, the Gompa and Naman the Tumarine, Tanta Digibu Mares, Digla, the Casana, the Chag, the Jessegi, you, the Shushumu and the Chivora. The Shell Pomu, the Nichumara, so Chetan, the Shashadan, Timu Musegi, Judy, Dick Panala or Machine, Suzuki Pama, the Pinga Samal and Jamaja and the Lamas.
Now, like, okay.
Jillingra, the Chak and the Me, and Shadan, the Kutim, the Shiapojavostra. He called another number to the bay, colored Nanka Chibush. Chetan to Carla or the two soon or two the Canada and Shiama the Yoma. The Zomazo in Casimata Banzo Chechu dig on a drawing, on the yellow drawing Shiamara. Today, two soon or the bang and Negatsawich extra.
Now, like, I understand your question, and we need to have an appreciation for the fact that this text was written by an ascetic, a monk of some sort, and then he's imploring, like a serious follower of the Dharma, such as a monk or a nun, and he's imploring them to like go in a solitary place far, so you have a more conducive environment to like do serious practice. This is one aspect of the text that we need to have an appreciation for. But like this doesn't literally mean like you should cut all ties with your family and like not care about your near or dear ones. This is not the meaning of the text. As I said before, this example that we are giving, like in Buddhism, we talk about the three poisons: attachment, aversion, and ignorance. And when we say poison, there is a meaning behind like why we call this poison. If you consume poison, what do you expect will happen? Of course, it's going to be a source of suffering for you. So this is to say, like, even with our family members, we do have this like attachment, right? And this could be a source of suffering if we are not able to like balance it. If we have too much attachment, too much attachment to our family members, and then we do not have like a single person concern about like anyone else, then this is an imbalance, right?
Yes, but how to deal with this? Really, like seriously. And I don't mean now talking about
the dini parala yorada yangji do the balance do khande showers.
Ti khala Kyangi dinde khatu san tawe nye pangla di phama da pinje nye de pangla dinde khodo na di kharchin digo man na ngaso peje nalo la su ga phama ka de chimbor phama ye tene se gorni na andi pe mo shigir thi dengi gyaro charu sra di tanda ngaso gi tanda chana gi la chasura ani de cha pe shu chimbo chen ra su su ga phama le nye shima ji chan de pe na ngaso kan ro jire la na tanda ngaso jeka pe sun jing de shlik do ra jing de khala nye jeka de la yabo bos 콘 제거들 고마 수수기 제거들 미망라 차신신 파기 밀세 또 담르치도 라 디수수기 녜데 쫑하제 다디세 딘디긴 것도 내가 도시다 맨날 딘디로 지체 다 지기 미칠랑도 미도 수수기 녜니데 지라 차니 미신 바지 저 제거 마샤네 라 아니 지 수수기 가산에서 미칠라 저랑 두부지 중원이나 아니 그런 남자거라 콜라 파기 신바들 타도 수좀 물론 쉬우고 나는 가서야 또 여기 베주치기도 왔어 디 가르치는 게는 그들라 자신 찾아네. 봐. 네 얘기 방말에 네 이제를 들라베데 순저 쳐야라지네. 강을 파기라고. 시간이 못왔어. 뒤에 가르는 지단 치르게 버잖아. 순저 쳐고든 남자가 좀 디쇼들레베 유디베데 지난 유 파쇼 추준이자 지난 가지고 파상 땅에는 들리기 쉬워요 말이야. 이내 가지고 쇼지를 빼 되살아야 가는데 수매이 비지 얻었다. 봐. 최도로 쉬워요. 수매이 비지 얻었다는데 소소 가산에서 때 항상 약보통. 봐. 약보 여바 있는 약보디가래 빼 치르게 보시통. 근데 지난 가지고 되살. 봐. 된데 되살이 미 약보들 진짜 치소는 그 차빠제 되세기 미들 라 자신 소소 가만히 있나데 빙가이나 도포통 가린 들레지 간도 슈 전부 차대고라 근데 인자 아니 니 미 약보들 그런 틈에 이지 줬다셔지 강사들 누구지 중앙에 파기들 가르치고는 지기도 라 근데 이게 칠게 제야 말았어 제한디 파기들 요리 수슈들 정말 창념으로 따투는 슈 전부 들리기 말아 라 너쇼도 가우까지도 파전도 나보 나져서 아니 간도 로 이제 칼로 너셔셔도 좀 되는 려
So later on, I will I was about to complete I was about to talk about like the three poisons in detail, but we will discuss about like what are the three poisons and what are their qualities later on in detail. But like to answer your question, maybe like it is to develop like this sense of like equanimity, like the way of looking at things objectively. And like I will give you, if we look at the example of this like war happening in the world right now, then this is also, even though here the example is just say family and friends, this is actually a consequence of the object of our attachment, like being this sense of like this is my country, this is my country, and these are my enemies. So you have this feeling of like attachment over like attachment, or like a sense of like this sense of nationalism. It's a consequence of this like object of attachment. So in the Tibetan like Buddhist explanation, when we talk about attachment, it has this quality of crossing the limit of suitability and then like exaggerating the qualities of the object of our attachment. So when we say like our family, our nation, or our near ones, then if they have like a speck of good quality, then in our mind like these qualities are magnified and these qualities are exaggerated, and this goes in contradiction with reality. So this is why it's said like you should not really take like this text literally. Of course, when you say like you should abandon your family and friends, if you take the literal translation or a literal meaning like that, then of course there's a contradiction, because later on in this same text, then it implores you to like have the sense of gratitude to your parents for giving you this human life. So this is not the way to approach the text.
비지기 된다 얘도 친데 칼라콜라 살아오면 도 거야다 아니 누구 된다래 수수기 년인데 참말에 다른 땅에들 지도 티 가르를 가르 착과잖니 친구들의 쉽체다 지네 칼로 자신 체다 지네로 디다다 쉬버리지 디에나도 차실래 이게 로드 찌르게 버지 상당 거잖아 편도고래 제가 저 지실로라도는 상한도는 내가 된다 파서도는 누구 편도고라 딜레바 게네 뺑고도 연하다 잠민가는 연다 차차시상에 로시 레고라 딜이 슈 첨부지 데라야 되니 제디가 아니 야 미라 파실라 마가야 다사야 되니 너무 지도 타나 소소고 소 도야게 가지 내가 지도 잔도 디 무고 된다는 미세야도 또베다 뭐자 체중 참아 매버 차이다 디가는 딜레 자신 셔다 디 빼샤르다라 능구연에 참아되니 집에 잡아야 말아 디가도 체인 돌에 잡아야 말라지
The more you tuang the balance kind of chogore la rojora did do gishi
tande diped technical right chain right.
So to give you another example, like when someone is like too concerned about like accumulating wealth or making like money, and then like since due to the object of attachment being money, and like the affliction of attachment is so strong in that person that in the end like he crosses like all moral boundaries to achieve like to achieve his goal of like accumulating wealth, and wherein like he's able to kill for money, where he's able to like cross all like moral boundaries for this object of attachment. So this is I give all these examples so you can meditate or like contemplate on the negative aspects of these afflictions and the effect it has on our mind in viewing reality. So if we are able to contemplate and try to relate like these examples to our own experiences, then we know like we are guilty of the same we are guilty of the same misconceptions, like, you know. So this is how you try to balance it. Try to like contemplate on the effect, that the negative effect that these afflictions have in our day-to-day dealings.
단도 연재 페이지 고대어지 샤와이나라 파마로지나 부구지 페일 투바제비나라 소소 부구 까우까장 쓰기다 부구도 차고요 니 부구들이 지금에 보배하고 있느라 파셔 부구들 앞에 두자드는 아 콘스 부구 두자르는 파기들 동가도에도 들을 파마 하실래다 티가는 파마 야보지나 상도 야보지 땅토는 알레 니자를 줘요 니자 춘주리 군 상다도 말에 야보지는 니자를 럽제 야보셔라 파마 하시 소소 부구 까부가지는 파기를 동가도에 되다 티가는 티가는 소소 쇼들 슈첨부 차 니 부구 까부가지는 근데 내가 두지는 지금 천소도 두자를 티가래 거 근데도 제요 말하면 상만을 찝었다나 디리강이 리고라 부군이자를 싫어하는 앤데 마제스 안 싫어하니자를 노트도 전화라는 노트도 din데 제야 말이잖아 라에도스 싫어하니자 din데 중고에 din이자 노트레스라나 야보다 아무 근데 지금 말은 나한테까지 그런 나쁜 나자는데 아니 담보 보고 동화도 아니 보고 파망 아니 체르체르도다 근데 도디에 가서 따녀도 샤마도 소소들 자신체는 단데 디걸 저런 게 파마다 빙결 야고 제요 말로 말다 라 틀에 착받 틀게 뭐 제요 말이라
So now, like maybe this example will like make it clear for you. For instance, there are two children fighting, and then like these children are of different parents, and one of the parents, he sees like these two children fighting, and of course, if the parent of one of the children, he sees them fighting, and if their immediate reaction is one of black and white, like you saying like my child, like, you know, he didn't do anything wrong, it's all the fault of this other child, and then like you scold the other child, and you like, you know, reprimand the other child and do nothing, and like try to like protect your child protect your child at all costs, then this is a consequence of the affliction of attachment, right?
Really?
Yes, of course.
No, but
Because since like now like there is a conflict, and if we are able to look at the conflict objectively without the pull of like the affliction of attachment, then we need to look at it objectively and saying like it's two children with a wider perspective. They are young, right? They could be both at fault. This is the way to approach the conflict, not to say like, oh, this guy did wrong, this is my son, he can never do wrong.
yeah,
This is not the way.
simple. That's very easy and simple. Like the solution is too obvious. But in case now that we're really talking about protecting life, really needing to protect life, and there is really also danger, the wish to kill one's life, and you need to protect that life.
Of course,
And
of
you're
course.
also in not disconnecting from the other person. You're not doing this black white. The person wants
No.
to do something bad.
At this moment, we are trying to explain the effect that like the affliction of emotion have on our mind and how we perceive. And now maybe this is a way too philosophical way of putting things, but like how attachment has like an effect on like how we do simple things. So this isn't, we're trying to elucidate that point. And moi lana ta Thosamling lana dende kaw na bujio maras. Tang anzogi mi tseso sungyop chego yana ra. Chapsik inne dang. Ta dende chigyora. Ten sangma tende pazu chigyode gyodige. Ni nyokra sawara didilo ani kandis approach chego.
세상 어디지 장보전에서 내 뺏기지 뭐라 라 가시게 소소기 제 통하네야 안 언제들 제요 말았어 파시들에 내 통에 코드 제를 디리도 세상 아주 수동란 회로 마음부실래 장보전에 수세를 개버지 디 니디야 코드는 이시탄도 그래 라 장보전에 야보이네 야보로 수수디나 두자레라 라토니 이미진 해들리게 말았어.
So now like even with this example, like the small two children fighting and a parent scolding one and like protecting the other, this example is exactly what happens when a huge conflict arises between two nations, wherein like they are not able to look at it objectively, wherein like both of them are not able to give an inch, move an inch to each other. So this is actually a result of attachment and how it clouds our judgment.
But this requires both parties to
Of course.
understand this concept.
Of course, so of course, so this is why it doesn't say like you should only do this. We have how many people here? Everyone is being like asked to like cut or like try to like do away with the strong like strong like feeling that we have with our near and dear ones, because this clouds our judgment. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So if everyone is able to practice like this kind of like this kind of abandonment of attachment, then the world would be a better place.
Of course.
Yeah, this is the bit instruction. The konzo la no koran zo chibu michi la lana yara mi shinda ibani chewora la gida mare da kisi yara ngai ngarang ji da nye the thama benji la dinde di ma china mi shinda ibani dinde chewora asra dida yin shashara
저거 방어 빈절에 순저 맞잖아.
mare ta susu phama pinchi la ne decha shu chimbo ligra ngaga ji di la de do da mi shinda gi ma china ani dila debuji thya yo mara la
디 기타기다래 아니 파쇼니자 수준이자 거라 kenā yākpo chī na, ngā dzō mī tsāma sōsō chīk mō tō yamara, ngē yākpo chī, chū yākpo chī na, rā, anī tsāma kī shī tsō tō yākpo chā wā rā. ngā dō jī, ngā jī bō chī na pēngi mō tō, kō chī mō tō, pā dzō tō tō na, ngā ngā yā khā rā yō mō rā. ngā rā ngō la, kāñyū chū yō yākpo chī wā, rā, pā kī la khā rā chī na jī, dō chī na jī khā rā, kō rā kō rā dō bā rā, sō sō ngō la yā tā chī chī tā, 담보 미드즈 kenza 통시 그래. 저는 아 데코 양도 하고 쉬고도 길 가리 저는 로바 마로 저는 이치니 마로 저는 야부치든 미참 가리 저는 젤 쓸려야 되려. 라. 두자 체들이 쇼도나 테마틱 거 계산하와치 이 계산하. 마부지 콜레도 용만 가리 거 마가 코페 두자라 라시 사고를 질라니 다른 두다. 라. 그냥 미션바 가르치고 마도 소소한 거에 야슈도 치더라. 아니 다 코야시지 카마시서 거래야 야부쳐라. 예 아버지는 배임도 파기 제임도 다 선되는 리로 단단 아주 소소 나란 저기 진짜 샘지디 막 되어치더라.
So now I understand your concerns. In an ideal world, like everyone, like will try to understand each other, but this is not the way society functions. But like as you have received this teaching and you want to imbibe like these qualities in yourself, it's like it's in your best interest to like focus on your own efforts first, like how to transform my behavior, how to transform my own like actions of body, speech and mind. And even though like you may feel like an initial sense of like me kenza ta idlara, initial sense of like estrangement from society when you're trying to do this and trying to transform your behavior, it's important not to give up and to keep at it. And if a person engages in like some sort of corruption or like bad deeds, it might be possible that like for a temporary for one time or two times he may be able to like reap the benefits, but then like it's not forever that like a person doing bad things, he's always able to enjoy like the benefits. So likewise, if you are able to keep at it, even though if you feel a sense of estrangement or like loneliness in your initial like struggles, but if you keep at it, then it's quite evident like someone who's trying to do good, they naturally gain like more friends, like more support in society.
제가 단다라 다랑아도 준준나가 세지다데 페이트란디나 아 수수용을 야고 치드는 그런 하고도라 그런 미친 나로라 라 그랑게 담보 당샤다 아니 지기 덴바 된장 밀레베 지게 추바제다 데네 마제 담보라는 그런 미친 나로 끼고 있는데 와답 그랑게 삼바랑 가야고 치는 디기미도 코야고 치기미도 콜런즈가도는 그런 인자래 도저 차이다 와 그런데 나포차야다 정한도고 해도 되네 무시라 자기 미디어 보면 나야 아버지는 되는 거에 지금 들은 생각을 같이 작아든 들어 걸어 가리는 데샤 수수고는 아니 담보다샤데 야보다 아니 지기 두바 맞아야 돼 꼬마 맞아야 돼 잡아 맞아야 돼 되게 담보다 저도는 걔는 미치 기우인 거래 라 대파기디 미두제디 칼로 출은 생색이 거유더라고 라 계속 표 반진 순진 안되시는 두두 대선 다이가서 매바가 나시라
The constitution sungyo ra mi shindagi chobalatan so jiu me jo machale. Now, like as I said before, now we have to learn to like be practical too. And one thing like I would like to stress is like as you like try to engage or try to cultivate this practice of Buddhism or practice of like these good qualities, if you face like this kind of estrangement or this kind of loneliness, then like it is very it doesn't help you when you are trying to do your best, and then you see like all of these other people like doing a number of bad things, and then it doesn't make sense for you to argue with each person like, hey, you're doing, and pointing fingers at everyone, each and every one of them. This is a waste of your effort, right? So you need to be wise too. And wisdom is not something that can be taught, Wisdom is something that can be only learned through your own cultivation, from your own experiences. So as we study these texts, we need to contemplate and then try to cultivate like these into our day-to-day practice.
Yeah, but that's the point.
And that's the point. And like as the Dalai Lama says, like don't let the behavior of others like disturb your inner peace. So you need to learn to be this strong, like you need to be strong. So like rather than like engaging in like rather than trying to like point fingers at everyone, like if you are trying to give your best effort and then like learn to like be satisfied with that, and then like don't cross the limit of like if you're when you're trying to help others, but like if you cannot, then like at least do not try to harm others. If you are able to learn to be content with like this kind of attitude, then it will help you. So one of the points that you raised is like when you are trying to do good and then everyone else is like busy and doing something else, and then like you feel like you are at some kind of a loss. This is your feeling, this is your question before.
It's definitely my question.
Yeah, right. So then like of course now we are at the second line, and then as we keep going with the text, we talk about the 3 poisons in detail, and then we talk about the antidote, like how to deal with like these 3 poisons in detail later in the text. But to give you a small example, in such a situation, like in Buddhism, we talk about the cultivation of the practice of tolerance, not jumping like immediately into argument with another person, trying to gain an understanding of what the other person's point of view is, trying to like disengage from like immediate conflict, and trying to like cultivate a tolerance of like bad behavior from others too.
아니 양산은 찍다는 알고 콩이 콜 엔더 라야만 콩이 망가라 페펜토스 쇼에 심바지를 태우느라 그리 코랑아를 찍나고로지 레슨데 이망아를 까지 친구 지단 그 미랑시 되네 말에 그리 코랑 긴 심바지 태는 콩아를 베지 찍나보다 내라임지레스라 근데 사와이는 수수근 찍게 나제 타도 맞춤도라 라 수수가 제 상당오라 나 근데 테마치를 콜 엔데 카티 짜고 했는데 나라나에 진짜 나라에 찍 담만이 병이 누나 그래 미시라 근데 상담은 밀레파시 남성한테 카티 짜고 이로 들리기 말아 소소 따지 적고도 뺏겨 소소 야부치나 아니 미신바 맞네 소소 따다 drogo에도 뺏겨 참 들으라
So, for example, if we two get into a conflict or an argument, if my immediate reaction, according to the Dharma practice, should not be to point my fingers and try to think about what she did wrong. It should be to look inside yourself, what kind of emotions am I going through, and then try to one way to approach a conflict is to look at the other person not as an object of hatred or anger, but look at it in this way: due to the afflictions, due to the hold of the three poisons, he or she is behaving in this way. Not looking at the person with anger, but thinking about the poison itself as the source of this conflict. So if you are able to cultivate it in this way, then maybe practice will be fruitful.
Okay, on this attitudes I understand and I completely agree with them, completely from the bottom of the heart. But how to solve this conflict? It needs maybe probably, beside of dealing with it and reacting on it, maybe a solution. Sometimes in life it really needs a solution. Beside, how can you, with this Buddhahood or with this Bodhisattva path, have a positive, beneficial effect on? Is it possible?
It is possible, but moi chanju sambagi yura di sem khedina ani ta kangi da mambu thesa re samegi shenang roji dusra ani ta gishma gi chamchuk sem tho pa la jira dinde ji gana model len ro the ru is piche
shanju sambala da ketan tanda china la karat prosit
tidine odel dia chan odel jamgud
soje
this soje this okay. That's
tadapna dirada shang khashige da samutanda de niligora da shangju senro de mishimba chi pusanda de ngale pe chungra idrenja ra yese shangju senbi chuba sen jezang ganzo ngaraz ta lo dine jim de yom ra yese shangju senba samutanda de pe hansa tselege baro ra susugi luid zuma nima tamu lujin le jema ta de dire koyo je shensen ngato de zuguchi tang su ra kapchi du dang zi tsayda jinde ngato sanada kozo be be hapa chenbu shebo res ra ngato de ta na ngato sanada tuye de pasha konjo tang tugo de ngato pa hansan shilewo ra jinde che ani da mo de de la ti per chebo pe chenbu res ra.
So maybe we need to gain an understanding of the scope of what a bodhisattva actually means, and even though it is said all of us we have this innate potential to become a bodhisattva, now if we who is an actual bodhisattva? Now this is a question, right? So all of us, we cannot claim to be bodhisattvas at this point of time, or in this point of, we can strive to become a bodhisattva, but we are not bodhisattvas at this point of time in our life. And now, if you give it in the text and in the Buddhist mythology, in one of the previous lives of the Buddha, he was born as a prince, and when he saw that a tigress have given birth to like 3 little cubs, and then he noticed that the tigress was unable to feed the 3 cubs because she was so weak from the birth, and then she didn't have like any source of nutrition to be able to breastfeed the cubs. So what the Buddha in his previous life did was to chop off his own body and like make that sacrifice to feed the tiger. Now this is the scope, or this is the level at which like a bodhisattva is able to let go of himself. So this is the way we understand a bodhisattva in the Buddhist sense of the word. But now, like for practical purposes, we need to work at the small things that we can, rather than just like. Of course, it's important to generate this altruistic intention to benefit all beings, but then we need to look at ourselves first before trying to benefit others. We need to try to abandon like the hold that these 3 poisons have on us before we jump or try to help others. So in Tibetan, Buddhism is translated as Nangpa. Nang means inner. So it's always an inner examination of ourselves.
Pena nima ende chumuda peji shawa inara nima chunba peji lamando jing sara koran gyami chunga lchene ta ko soto tan ya se ya soto tan ya la ani ta pagela menda jagi chapeli se chama mami chamade ra tinde koran khala na tes guru chala ra tes guru an koran garin den na koran ta shela shigo ma ta ko menda jere jinda kamachi ni bana ta re ra ine tes guru chala koran garin den la na 아저거다 나만 쳐가나 쓰지야 되는 제자나만 두지 마준도 디루 거 말이 다다 다람 해 봐. 다기 되기 전 따. 근데 쓰인데. 계속 가르라 와서나 다링가디 아니 시에디 다리 칸서 말인데 근데 전다 세고라. 디스에디 나 나서디 코 제좀 쓰고 봐. 대링에 드리시고야디 근데기 시군이다 지가신이 정하는데 한 예바당이랑 소도도 당고 있던데 라서 가라 소도 당고 소도 그래서 참이기 코디 니 치오셔스 봐 콘조 참마 엔데 주마죠셔스 콘조 참이기 썰들이 얘기 아니 고치오셔래 봐 근데 맞은데 드드드니까 말이 다다달 제가 근데 이제 코란즈 강이 참마 근데 강이 중국이기 참이 강이 들이 나를 중요시 중어디 아니 콘조디 중어디 고치오셔스 다기 되기 전에 나를 지 대화 가려요 봐이나 두수 참마 아니 심지어 한지기 텐데 아니 허셔래 이제 봐 삼탄도 된대기 자신 뭐 먼저 이네 파기는 맨다지를 된대기 지 되게 말아 심바 삼탄도 말 장아시에는 남자 뭐 담을 깨져 담을 치야 근데 네 진짜 된대기 간조도 산주생을 바로 삼탄은 싫어
Yes. Maybe like when we talk about a bodhisattva in this term of the word, then like it maybe appear like out of reach. But then like if we think about it carefully, I will give you an example of a story in Tibet when a very old like lama was facing like the death squad. Like they were about to kill him in prison, and at gunpoint. He said, like, before you kill me, let me make an aspirational prayer and before you kill me. And he was not afraid to die at that moment, but like he made the point to pray. Like there is a Tibetan prayer wherein like you try to take on all the sufferings of all the sentient beings. So he made that prayer before like he was about to kill without fear of death. And now like with this like prayer, he prayed like with the intent, with the hope that like me, who's about to be like shot at gunpoint, in an instant, like me, there might be so many other people who are about to face like the same fate as me. May I be able to take on like all of like their konzogi
강에 참아 konzo 나다 들이 예바당고 니주라 두 참아 모여 가지고
예바당 맨다 잔이 송레기 맨다 생이
다 콜강이 이다 다르지 강이 요라 다든나시 이미 셴바라 강이 들이요라 두 참이 강이 고디 예치오쇼는 봐 다들 간들어 konzo기 책 제도오쇼라 니로시레오라 되게 뭔가 자신 거죠
May I be able to take on like the same like suffering, the suffering of everyone who goes through the same, like, the death penalty as I do. So this is the aspirational prayer that he made before he was shot. So now, like, if we kind of think about it, this is maybe like as an aspirational, like, thing. Maybe if we look at it that way, Bodhisattva, it might look like something out of reach, something that's beyond us. But then, like, another way of looking at the cultivation of bodhicitta is this is the ultimate, like, antidote to this self-grasping or self-cherishing attitude that we have. And we say this self-grasping, this self-cherishing is at the source of all these three poisons that we have. So if you are, for example, by definition, a bodhisattva, he is someone who has all the favorable or conducive conditions to be able to achieve enlightenment, but he forgoes that to stay in samsara so that everyone else, all the other sentient beings, they are able to achieve enlightenment. So this is the definition of a bodhisattva.
지도 주지 시간을 참샤가 니바보도 안에 개요 말아. 디바루로 창자가 삼나시 땅더라. 그냥 좀 되차 시랑 띠무숨더라. 디숨라 다 미래리 배나 되차라 안 되차 신도는 슈 쩐데데 시당 쩐베는 쩐데데 띠무 쩐베는 쩐데데 상노 숭숭숭 땅 치셔서라. 디가 되는 거 참으로시는 아니 야 디 팬도 쳐라. 시당 저기 두블 두 가르쳐 제시하라. 근데 배는 되차 간다 가도 뭐 부지 넣어서 이내야 다 디가 그런 메리리게 디가는 간도 디 딜노스치와이나 간도 가르네지기더라. 팬도가는 팬도데 다 데스 카테고리 용식이 이내 뇌 가르치기더라. 대신 때문에라지로 요이나 디기 뇌 가르치기더라. 메리리 그셔서 다 칼로 미치 숭숭 캐고라. 대체기 전쟁이 뭐야 가서 세당다 아니 때문 된지 제레리 저런 상도 땅이라. 수수가 라식 상 땅이나 야. 먼저 미팔라버지 보면 봐라. 수수가 알레 서서삼다 알레 온 띠띠띠 서서삼다 되는 간도 될지시 니 디가 나서만 다시 짠 아니 빼야 쳐라.
Okay, now maybe we try a different approach, and before we break for lunch, I want you all to, like, think about, like, the three poisons, or like the three negative emotions of anger, attachment, and ignorance. Ignorance, or in plain terms, ignorance, hatred or anger, and then, like, desire or attachment. Now I want you to think about these three poisons, and when you come back for the afternoon session, I want you to, like, recount, like, your own personal experiences of, like, the effect, the negative effect, like, these have when, like, these emotions arise in your mind. So when we come back, we discuss, like, with each of you 3 examples in your life of these 3 poisons and the effect it has on how you behave, how you think when it arises in your mind. So maybe this will be a better way of discussing things. Is it okay with Is it okay with you if we approach it this way? Maybe it's better, so you get to think.
So will we still go through the steps?
Yes.
37 practices?
Yes. Yes, we will. 지제 간디다 차레 콘조기다
제시는 대시는 나잖아 봐 돈은 집이 님 나지 인예보 맞으실라네 제서 다다 딥에 계셔 못 차고라 아무튼 네가 산이 나니는 샤주 제세 샤주 선배 냠네 간데 지기에메 도선 검사 간데 지기에메 아니 다신 지어라 줘라 얘기 동네들랑래 라기 되어지는 때 근데 상도 따다 마도 지는 말 못는 이거 그랬어 이내 단다디가 저기 대셔시나 티무수도 간도 두순이노 두순 가르치는 애들은 디상도 따야 뺏기지 버렸어 딩가 좀 무슨투에나 디가는 간도 가르쳐서랬어 먼저 단다 가르는 대셔시나 티무 상막에 수술을 팽이에 나와로 샤고 먼저 tru디고 Right. And the chat in another the cheetahs. Then I'm not Shadam that in Hajichimbuina, Narana step to good as anything water. This is some of the low body. Right. Did some of Papa egg chit and putting on some Yabushtada and Sunny Nine Dilema, they had like Druida, and in just changes and beginning nature, than the marsh too soon to go to Pangway, the vacation bra.
Now, like to kind of sum up, like we in the first stanza, it says the practice of the Bodhisattva is to study, reflect, and meditate. And now, like with this precious human life, with all its like favorable conditions to practice the Dharma, we have the practice of a Bodhisattva is to use this precious human life with all the favorable conditions to study, reflect, and meditate on the Dharma. This is to sum up the first stanza. And now in the second stanza, we talk about the 3 poisons. I want you all to do this exercise because in our like daily lives, we are not able to see these 3 poisons, or we wouldn't even want to call them like 3 poisons from in our daily lives. Because, like for example, I want you to give this example. Now let's not call it poison. Let's call it the affliction of anger. When anger arises in us, we also have like this misconception in our mind. I'm angry, and anger is like a natural response to fear, to protect oneself. So we feel like this is a natural feeling, a natural reaction to fear, wherein like you feel like if I'm not angry, if anger does not arise in me, then I'm not able to protect myself. So maybe likewise, this is a small example. So I want you to think about examples like this in our own daily lives, and come back with like 3 examples or 3 instances when we meet in the afternoon session. Right? The afflictions of attachment, anger, and ignorance.
Gentong Pangram, Yapoji, something on the Pango Mara. Chetan Tamu to Tusum, the cook Carson Turisha, Karin Nubachi, this summer Yapoch Tawena, and the Tamuka legal aliati, Yabum the Pangoage, Lord Chishanova. Then he did load the children, the Jashan, the thing around the doors, the Yabum Yas, digging all like just such a chiggy like Joe, Kangitilla Patangi or something, you load chill the color, in Jimmy Tilla color, the Jashan, the Timu show the Mandra, the Cantachura.
So it is important to recognize like these 3 poisons as poisons, because if you are not able to see like these 3 poisons, these are like harmful to you, then we keep drinking the same poison, right? We'll never think about stopping. We'll keep like drinking the same poison. So in this exercise, I want you to really think about the negative effects like these kind of these afflictions have in our life.